Back to Canberra now, and the opposition has outlined its policies for the country. A cut to permanent migration among them, as well as investment bans from foreign buyers to boost housing supply here. Joining us live is Barnaby Joyce, the Shadow Veterans Affairs Minister. Barnaby, good to see you. Thanks for your time. Let's start off with your thoughts on Peter Dutton's pitch last night.
I think it was, obviously I'd say it, but I really do think it's a solid performance. I like the way that he laid down the path towards having baseload power back in our grid under nuclear. I like the way that he was brave enough to say that what we had in the Labor Party budget was billions of dollars for billionaires. This crazy subsidising of a cult-like approach to intermittent power that is putting swindle factories, so-called wind farms and solar factories and transmission lines all over our countryside. And to you, higher power bills. That's all you've been getting. Look at your power bills. And I think that these are the things that need to be addressed. If we can't get affordable, reliable power, we will not have a manufacturing industry. All the major manufacturers are making their way to the door of Australia to run away, and none are wanting to come here. So I think he clearly spelt out and encapsulated one thing. Do you believe you are better off now than you were when Mr Albanese came to power? That's a very, very simple question you ask yourself. The answer to that is no, and we've got to do something about it.
Let's go to nuclear then. The government's already pointed to the lack of detail on that. You, as we all know, are a major supporter of nuclear. So can you help 100%. Us fill in the hows, the costs, the whys? Can that all be ironed out before the election?
Sure, let's have a look at some of the areas. United Arab Emirates has built a new nuclear power plant. It took them about 8 years. Finland has got a new nuclear power plant, and it's got vastly more affordable power than us. In fact, I think we're one of the only major countries, OECD countries, that don't have it. And as I've always said, all these companies must be stupid. Rolls-Royce, Skoda, Hyundai, Mitsubishi, General Electric, Westinghouse, Chinese companies, Russian companies, South African companies. They're all stupid, and the smartest person on the globe is Minister Bowen and Mr Albanese, who believe that they're all wrong and all these nations and all these companies are just fools trying to lose their money. Well, they're not. They're going down the nuclear path of technology of 2024, not 1984, and they're just leaving us behind with all the jobs that would go to the construction of new nuclear facilities and all the jobs that would be on the premise, on the base of having reliable power. And where would you put them? It's a very good question. You'd put them where you're decommissioning power plants at the moment, because your transmission line's already built. I mean, what a nuclear power plant does is basically boil water, which is what a coal-fired power plant does. But this idea, they try to enforce on you, this is going to be Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island. No, that's like saying a car of the 1920s is a jet plane of 2024. It's just ridiculous. Completely different technologies. It's all moved on. But we're left behind.
OK. Just a couple of quick ones, Barnaby, and some other points that Peter Dutton made. This cut to migration down 140,000. Some questions about what that might mean to skilled workers if those cuts are put in place, particularly in the construction sector, which we need. Are you concerned by that at all?
We've still got 140,000 coming in. That's a fair number. That's bigger than the city of Tamworth in its entirety. That's probably, that's about, I suppose, close to half the size of Canberra, or almost third. They're still turning up. We're just not turning up in the numbers, which are putting people... We can't have Australians sleeping in cars, living in tents because of the pressure that's come onto the housing market. You can't do that. You can't. We have a responsibility to our people first, and we've got to fulfil that responsibility.
And what about housing? I mean, the government's pointed out, and I made this point to Susan Lee a little bit earlier, the international investors, they only bought 5,000 homes over the past 2 years. So, I mean, I suppose you've got to start somewhere, but will it make much of a difference?
Well, if that's the case, then all the Labor Party rhetoric of the major problems is wrong then, isn't it? What we can say is you've had over the last couple of years close to 1 million people coming in. Now, it's not just the people. You've got to have the hospitals, the schools, the parks, the religious institutions. You've got to have all that support structure. You can't just pour people in. You can't pour, a couple of Canberras in a couple of years with none of this support structure. No dams. They hate building dams. That's the climate catastrophists hate building dams. And so it's just crazy. And you can see it. There is a housing. People don't believe there's a housing crisis. Then I don't know. You must be in a different country to Australia, because we do. We've got a horrific housing crisis.
We'll leave it there. Barnaby Joyce, good to see you as always.